let's bring in the cast. We have Portia Doubleday, Carly Chaikin, Christian Slater, and Rami Malek. Great. Good to see all you guys here. Although, we should confirm. Can everyone see Christian? It's not just me?
Am I really here?
Is he actually here? Okay. Okay, good. It's not just you and I. Good. So we just saw this great sizzle reel for season 1, which is a great recap of everything that happened. Going into season 2, obviously we're not going to talk too much about it because it's all under lock and key. Even Elliot can't hack into it. It's that secret. But I do want to know, just approaching this season after all the buzz that season 1 got and all the acclaim, was it hard starting in on season 2? Was it a little nerve-wracking going into season 2 after such a great season 1?
Go for it. We can do it.
The whole cast.
We'll all do it.
Yeah, I mean, I
Were you nervous?
was nervous but excited. I mean, I couldn't wait to kind of get back to it. The great thing is, Sam was just so prepared. He just kind of like smoothed right back into it, and that was the miracle of it. It was great.
Yeah, I remember this going up to Sam. I'm like, "Are you all right? I mean, this is a lot of pressure." And he's like, "I'm oddly okay. I'm all right." He's like, "Are you all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think."
Right.
We just thought about it. We're like, all it is a continuation of what we were doing, just with an elongated break. But there was a little bit of pressure, of course. You get that type of acclaim, and it's like, oh man, they're expecting something really fucking good.
Right.
And so you have this kind of weight on your shoulders, but that pressure is alleviated when you get back in there and you have this same team that created this, pretty special, magical first season. Yeah. It was a well-oiled machine from day. Like the second we started in, it's like, we're gonna be fine.
Yeah, I mean, from the pilot even, it's like it was just Sam had it all just mapped out and thought it through so well that you felt very safe in his very capable, prepared hands.
Speaking of that, I mean, Sam has always talked about having this script that he had written, the original draft, Mr. Robot's feature film script.
Right.
Hands up, has anyone ever read that script? Have you ever been given access to
Episode
it?
1.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No.
Well, no, the feature film.
It was like a 300 page.
I bet you it was 800 pages.
Yeah. No.
So now, for all the spoilers we just saw in this, how in advance are you aware of what's happening? For the Mr. Robot is Elliot's father thing, was that something that you knew going in, Christian, or was it something you found as you were reading that episode?
Well, I read the pilot and had suspicions about the character, and then sat down with Sam and Chad Hamilton, and I asked Sam, what is the deal with this guy? And he said, do you really want to know? And I said, yes. And he told me, and I got very excited about that because I thought it was a very unusual route to take in this sort of setting. And then he proceeded to tell me the rest of the story, which blew me away. I hadn't been in an experience quite like that before, where somebody, first of all, had been that prepared and also that willing to be open about everything. And I was grateful for it.
Yeah. For Carly, were you aware of what was happening with Darlene, that you were going to be the sister, or is that held?
It's so funny because I still feel like I'm like, don't say it. Like every time I'm like, sister. Yeah, I knew from the beginning. I think it would have been interesting if Rami didn't know.
Right.
But for me, because of that's our relationship. If I didn't know that, I feel like it would have turned out into a whole different thing. Not knowing who we were to each other. But so, because in the beginning, in the pilot, I only have like one line or something. And so Sam, I sat down with him and he explained to me the whole story and what was going on and who I was and all of that, which was very exciting.
It's weird. Now I can see it. It's like, you guys do look. It's weird. Yeah. It's incredible. You have to be related.
It's uncanny.
Yeah. It is.
And that wasn't planned.
I do. It's wild. Yeah.
I didn't think so when I kissed her in the scene.
That's good.
I think that's probably I'll probably leave that out there. Do you, for knowing that, going into knowing that twist is coming, for example, I think of the great scene in the pilot with you and with Rami and Christian on the Ferris wheel, on the Wonder Wheel. Yeah. Do you think that scene would have been different had you not known what your relationship was? How would you have played the scene differently?
No, I think that's why. Hopefully that's why it worked, is that we were able to kind of disguise all of that.
Right.
I mean, he was just the perfect stranger in that moment.
That's right.
that was the first thing we shot of the entire season. So, there was no way around us kind of just, gauging what we had in store for one another. And what was really cool about that is, we just got to know each other on that Ferris wheel because you just shoot over and over. Nobody got off the thing. So it's like,
We were in there for 8
there I am. I'm like, well, here's Christian Slater. Let's hang out.
Quoting Pump Up the Volume, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Yeah. Well, especially because every time you have to get around, you have to start at the same location. So it's like, here's another minute with Christian Slater.
Kept intentionally messing up.
Yeah.
I wanted to spend more time.
Yeah.
Stuck in a cage.
That's right.
There you go.
That was fun.
And Carly, for you as well, I mean, knowing that, were there any scenes that, had you not had the piece of information, that you would have been curious how you would have approached it? Or would it have been harder not having?
Yeah, I mean, everything. Every single scene between us, people ask if I masked it, and not at all. If you go back and watch knowing that relationship, you can completely tell. And I think, same with them, because Elliot, he is real. And so for me, I remember when we were doing episode 2 and we were on the subway, and, he's like, how do you know where I live? Which actually, was one of the first scenes I read with Sam. He was like, that's your brother. What is he talking about? And so having those moments there, as opposed to, how do you know where I live? As opposed to the answer being because I hacked you, it's because you're my brother. Right. And so all of those little moments, I love too that I played it exactly how it is. And it's great because being able to go back and watch it, and, when Rami realized, or Elliot, whatever. Same.
It all bleeds together.
Him.
Yeah, same. Well, it was funny. Doing those scenes would be so cool because obviously I'm in the moment as Elliot going, I don't know who the hell you are, but as Rami, I know exactly what's going on.
Right.
So I get to watch Carly do it, and obviously she has no idea. So to watch her act it out like that was pretty mesmerizing. I mean, I could see she would hit me up late into the night sometimes and be like, people fucking hate me. They just think I'm coming into your apartment and intruding on your life and pushing.
Everyone was like, who is this girl? She's so annoying. And I would call Ryan and be like, oh, no one likes me.
Just you wait, you just said. Just you wait.
Right, and then when that came out, I was so excited.
Yeah.
Then we retroactively love you. It all dates back.
Right, so everyone was like, you're
They're like,
forgiven,
oh,
I get it.
So, Portia, for you, Angela, so far we haven't learned that she's has another identity. Unless in season 2 it comes out that she was Elliot's dental hygienist as a kid or something, where it doesn't seem like that's in store though. But the evolution of her over the season, I mean, it's interesting. She goes from a very sort of quiet, following the rules person, and then later on she starts moving in her own way. So what was that like for you, tracking her evolution?
I had no idea what was going to happen with her, from reading the pilot. And I remember sitting down with Sam, and I thought, wow, this is so cool to play a character that, slowly evolves in a TV show. It's something I've never experienced before. When you do a movie, you kind of know what you're doing, you know where you're going. And even though he told me, I didn't really feel it until we were actually shooting. I mean, it's amazing, even in this season, to play a character that's changing, because it keeps you on your toes. I don't know what he's going to come up with. And there's definitely something in season 2 that I had no idea that he would create, and now I get to do it. And so, yeah, I mean, from how I change aesthetically and just kind of playing a very empowered corporate woman has been a great experience.
I would write Sam a lot of emails about, notes I had, and I've stopped doing that.
Sure, love getting.
I'll tell you why. But after I read the script, I was like, Angela's kind of vanilla, and I thought that from the onset. And then he's like, okay, thank you very much. And then a few episodes in, I was like, I'm sorry. And then I started looking at all my emails, and I was like, I'm sorry about all of that.
Rami and I would always be like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
He needs to do this and this.
Yeah.
And he would be like...
That's amazing.
So it's a plot twist for you, basically. So you just went,
Yeah, well, it's funny to watch a guy have so much patience where he could just look at you and be like, oh, I could strangle you right now. But let you go and be like, some part of him, I think, enjoys that too. You have no idea. You think you know, but you know not.
This is worse than I thought. They're in the network.
What's the status update? You see, I thought we set up security protocols.
All I remember is I woke up 3 days later.
And what happened in those 3 days?
You were speaking earlier, Rami, about being Elliot in the moment and sort of like watching the show through that lens. I mean, it's interesting watching because it's such an interior performance. I don't know if it's even reactive because you're not often called on to react to anything. You have to keep this sort of poker face on a lot of times. How was that the biggest challenge approaching the character from the beginning, was playing such a character who lives inside his own head?
You know, I thought it's, you know, you see some of those characters sometimes portrayed with all the tics and everything, and it's not easy to watch. And I was like, this guy's going to be difficult to accept no matter what. Right? You really have to rein those things in and have them happen inside you. And I think watching something, the most intriguing thing is, as we all do as human beings, we hide everything, like to the nth degree. We go so far to hide everything that's happening inside of us. And I think that's really interesting to watch when, you know, it can, especially when you have the voiceover going on.
Right.
It's like you have that added bonus. So I don't have to divulge so much, you know. Usually there's a subtext there that's already occurring, so.
Yeah. I like to think you're thinking in voiceover in those scenes where you're just looking into the camera, but I'm betting it's more like, what am I having for lunch today? What's sort of going through your head when you're...
Not eating much lunch.
The voiceover's in his head.
It is, okay. All right.
Literally.
Yeah.
Okay, you can see it, okay.
All the time. No, it's
Right.
No, like literally.
Yeah.
literally.
He has an earwig.
Right.
There's somebody.
Oh, okay, actually reading. Oh, interesting. All right, there you go. All right.
Yeah.
Do you not want to admit it?
Do I not want to know?
Let making
Well,
a
the
thing.
first time it happened, I was like, how are we going to do that on the pilot? I was like, how are we going to do this? I kept asking Tim, I'm like, can we record all of my voiceover so I can have my own voice in my ear? Right. And somehow that we didn't get around to doing that, and we started doing it in the pilot, and Sam goes, I'll just read it for you, right? And then, so I'm doing the scene, I'm doing the scene, and I'm doing the scene with Michael Hansen in the first episode where I come up to him, and he's the one that's kind of abusing his relationship with my therapist. So Sam says, I'm going to do it, and hearing Sam's voice was jarring because it's like it's always instructional, you know. At that point, it was very instructional. So I was like, no, I need something a bit more soothing.
Enya recording.
Right? Well, I remember just looking in the frame and pulling it out and going, this is not going to work. And after that, we went back and we were like, what are we going to do? And he's like, well, we'll just have, a production assistant read it. And so I heard that voice and it wasn't working out for me either. It was like a guy's voice who was very stiff. But I had the most incredible production assistant helping me out with everything, who Sam mentioned at the Golden Globes, and she'll be mentioned again tonight, Sarah Block. She just kind of lights up the set, and I'm like, you have something, and I want it, and I'm gonna put it in my ear. And since then, she's actually become Sam's writing assistant. She wanted to be a writer, so now she's become Sam's writing assistant, and the only time I get her back is to steal her for the voiceover.
So when Rami's in the zone like that, what's it like to sort of act opposite him in those scenes? Can you see? Is there any way?
It's weird.
It's very
There's
weird.
long pauses where you have. I remember with Sam and even in the pilot where there's like a long voiceover, and I just thought, am I supposed to react to him? Like he's just kind of staring like this for a really long time, and Sam goes like react, and I was like. Like so many times, and it felt so awkward until I was like, okay, well, I know him, and I'll just wait until he has his moment and starts talking again. Yeah. So there is it is kind of awkward, but when it's cut together, it doesn't look like that. Right. It doesn't look like I'm staying there for an insurmountable amount of time.
It's pretty uncomfortable, though.
I have
uncomfortable
Rami,
pauses.
like before a scene, I have him read his voiceover so I can kind of get that in my head for how long it's going to take. And I feel like we have this moment where I know he's done with it, and then I'll go into it and be like, was that enough time for your thoughts? in your
Yes,
head?
it's always perfect.
Yeah, we've like
Which
gotten on the
scares me
same,
that
like,
you know me
wavelength.
that well.
I know exactly
What
what,
else
he
does
said.
she know?
Well, it speaks to how well you've bonded over. I mean, just over the season, and really thinking about it, you guys only have a full scene together, and towards the end when you're in the graveyard together. Before that, you were all in different scenes, but there's this real sense of community still amongst you. How did it evolve as the season went on? I mean, from working together to the pilot all the way through, what was the evolution of your various relationships?
I mean, I think that we are so lucky because I've heard, horror stories about casts not liking each other, and not just because I like have to say this, we actually do really like each other. It's the kind of thing where like we would all hang out even if we weren't on a job.
It's also like this experience. We started out, we didn't know this was going to hit the way it was going to hit, and when that's all developing as you're shooting, there's a special. It's an atmosphere that kind of binds you because you know you're part of something special.
Yeah.
And you need each other, and you realize something's working, and you're surrounded by good people who are elevating you, so you get close.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
And I think also, aside from Christian, we all live in LA, and so we're kind of all here together and feel like we're in this together, and having especially like another girl and someone who we can relate to, and being able to both play like strong female characters. And I think it's a very supportive community.
Right.
I remember we did, I think it was a table read for episode 9, and I think this is when it really hit me. And we came downstairs, and Carly like turned to me, and Sam was standing there, and she was like, "This is insane. Like, do you realize what we're doing and what we're a part of? Because when you're in it, you're just in it. Like, everyone is in it and working really hard and super passionate, and there's such a great energy on set." And then there was that moment after reading that script. We read the scripts, and then we have these table reads, and it's so great watching Christian's reactions. Like, they're the best. But
Oh my God!
He
Very
said that.
expressive in there. Yeah.
And that, I remember
Yeah.
reading when we did that table read, there was just this like, oh shit, like
Yeah.
this is when people see this is gonna really, I think this is gonna really be incredible.
I stopped reading the scripts. I just watch you the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
That's all I care about.
That's the best.
You should film them and release them on
Very
DVD.
expressive.
should.
Yeah, that'd be some-
Because a lot of the other cast members, they don't know what's happening.
Right.
So Christian's just on the lookout the whole time. Like, oh, you didn't know, you didn't know, you didn't know.
Yeah, when we read
That
episode
was
8,
great.
it was like half of us were like, yeah, and then the other half of the table was
had
like,
no
what?
idea. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And it was fun seeing their reaction.
Love that.
It's interesting to see the bonding too, just to speak about the visual style for a moment, because it's such a distinctive look. I mean, even looking at you now, I feel like I should be on the floor almost, looking at the body, tilting so I see the ceiling. But within that kind of, when you have such a specific style for a show, is there ever any fear of feeling like a prop, to be directed in the frame because it's so framed so particularly, or where you felt that you were given the leeway to give a performance?
I
to
always
develop your
ask Sam,
character?
can you see me? Am I in frame? And he's like, barely.
Yeah. There are moments where we have to, like,
Yeah,
jump up.
literally.
Yeah.
It's so hard on the sound guys because they're holding a boom, right?
Right.
And they're so used to this traditional framing.
Right.
And so the boom's always in the shot. If I'm ready for a performance, I go to the sound guy and I go, listen, dude, it's got to be way up high because if that thing gets in the shot,
Right.
we're going to be here all, Yeah.
True.
There is the funniest YouTube video that Sam sent to all of us that was like a parody on the show and everyone was like framed in the corner and slowly just started like going every single time they just got like less in frame and less in frame.
But he's smart. He does it with purpose. I mean, he shoots on lenses that are wide-angle lenses, so he's not just capturing us, but what's behind us, what's around us, and he's positioning us in a way where it's like, yeah, you're in the lower right-hand corner because you're on the fringes of society, or you feel ostracized, or you feel different, and it really gives you that sense. You're cornered. It's really smart.
Got the metaphorical
Yeah.
underpinnings. At least that's what he tells you anyway, to make it harder for you to. You might just be having fun saying, okay, we're going to put you over here in this way.
Yeah, exactly.
The first time it happened, I remember I was walking outside to my apartment and getting in a vehicle, or I was getting in one of like Tyrell's SUVs, and the cameras were tilted in a way I was like, oh, this is another 30-minute setup. No, we're ready. That's the frame. And I was like, all right, this is what we're in store
Yeah,
for.
half the time I'm literally like, I'm not even on camera right now.
This is worse than I thought. They're in the network.
What's the status update? You see, I thought we set up security protocols.
All I remember is I woke up 3 days later.
And what happened in those 3 days?
Now, Sam is directing every episode of season 2. So, what has that been like having him in charge overall? Has he evolved the visual style? I guess are we going to see different ways of using the camera this season? Is there a new look?
There's a slightly new look, yeah. I think it's just
Elevated.
elevated, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Carly.
Yeah.
Take it.
Well, let me tell you. It's been unbelievable having him there because every single day last year, anytime he wasn't on set, we were all just like, where is Sam? You know, no one knows the story better than he does. And, you know, with him directing every episode, it means we're block shooting like all of them at once. So like we'll have one day where we do a scene from episode 1 and then episode 6 and then episode 3 and then, you know, so it's very hectic and every day I'm like, okay, what episode are we doing right now? And what just happened? And so he knows the story so well that he's like, well, this just happened, this just happened, this just happened. Yeah. And so, you know, as an actor, a lot of the times you get a script and you kind of fill in the information for yourself and have to figure it out. And, you know, we're so lucky that you have a question, there's no one better to ask than him. So there were times where I wanted to pull my hair out and was like, why are we doing it like this? But having Sam be there makes all of the chaos of it so worth it.
Right. What did you say to you once you were like, we have to Wikipedia sometimes this, like...
Oh, yeah. I definitely, when we were starting this, had a Wikipedia what happened in the first season because I was so confused. I mean, I remember I said to you, I was like, what is this hack? And you were like...
Oh yeah, like the
remember.
APN.
Yeah, I have to, warm myself up to everything that happens. But what I will say about Sam also, and why it's so amazing doing this is because he's amazing. And, when we've talked about this where he'll say, tell me what you think. Like, I don't have all the answers. Like, you might know more than I do about this. And having that creative freedom is amazing. Although he yells at us all the time. I'll just hear like a resounding Portia, and then like I know. I already know. And that's what's also great. It's like we've been working with him, all of us, for so long that I try to get away with certain things, but he will not let it happen. And but he's having that
watching.
kind of,
yeah,
he's always watching. And for the bad habits and stuff, like that's really awesome. Like there's certain little things that I do, and certain things Carly does, and we all do.
Like
and
what?
Oh, right, yeah. These notes haven't been passed along.
But we trust him, and I think that's the
Feel very safe.
best
Very,
thing as an
yeah.
actor is when he says, we got it, I believe
then
him.
Totally.
we actually feel.
Right? Yeah.
It's true. Couldn't be in better hands.
Carly, you alluded to earlier just the way fans reacted to your character throughout the first season. In general, what's been the fan response like for you? I mean, can you go online and do you follow what fan response is to each episode?
Yeah, I mean, I see, Twitter and stuff like that. So at first I was like, did not expect everyone to hate me that much. But it definitely ended up paying off where I was like, this is awesome that they did hate me before. And then you're like, we all still hate you. But, and then, had that turnaround. I mean, just the response, like I always say, we are all love the show so much and are so passionate about it. And so to have the audience emulate those same feelings about it is, you couldn't ask for anything better as an actor, for someone to appreciate, the art and what you're making as much as you do. And, the coolest thing, too, about fans of the show, their responses, is on such an emotional level of how much, Elliot's character in the show has affected them. in, you know, where they don't feel as alone anymore. They feel like they can relate to someone. They feel like they have a social anxiety disorder and they feel like hope for the first time. And those have been absolutely mind-blowing and so rewarding that I think most people don't get to experience on a show.
How about the how you look at the news and the real world too? Because I think what the show does so well is incorporate things that happen in the minute, like Ashley Madison in the finale. It's amazing that they were able to turn that around so quickly and put that into the episode. I mean, are you reading the headlines now?
First.
Oh, right, yes.
Yeah, so that was
Months before.
before the Ashley Madison.
But when you're reading the newspaper now, can you say like, oh, wait a minute, that's going to go in the episode? Can you predict what Sam might draw on for either now or future?
You know, I don't know. It'd be if you predicted what happened in season 2.
Yeah.
It'd be.
Yeah, you can't.
I don't know. I don't know.
Having already shot it,
The
but
crazy thing, I mean, the world is unfolding and things are happening, and there may be things that we've done that, you know, God forbid, at times, you know, might happen in the future. I mean, it's
like with the finale.
Yeah, I mean, look, there were definitely things even in season 1 while we were there filming the episode. We'd open up the paper and be like, oh my God, you know, we're reading what's happening. You know, we're shooting this, and this is what's happening in the world right now. So those were kind of scary, freaky moments. I mean, to the point where I think USA Today was calling Sam to see if he had any suggestions about how to handle some of this stuff. I mean, it was
truly, right?
Yeah. It was amazing.
It's taken. And do you find yourself also paying attention to what's happening in the tech world more, following Silicon Valley? And
I like to think that I'm like, oh yeah, I can hack, and I'm like, know everything about that. And, you know, my Darlene comes out, and then I'm like, I have no idea what I'm talking about or know anything. But I just always think I'm going to get hacked. Or I think that I had told this story about someone like kind of reaching into my bag at this place, and I was like, excuse me, what are you doing? And she walked away, and then I was like, oh my God, she dropped a chip in my bag. Yeah. She's now going to track me and hack all my stuff, and I'm dead.
I walked by some guy in Soho the other day, and he was like, oh, I love your show. He's from New Zealand, and he was like, it's crazy how it's influenced my life. I mean, some guy over there was trying to give me a CD, and he goes, you like hip-hop? And he goes, right. He goes, I like hip-hop, but I'm not taking your music. Obviously, you haven't seen Mr. Robot. And I was like, whoa! Never.
Well, that's like an only New York moment too, and that speaks to, I mean, what the show does so well is the side of New York that we don't see very often. I love the locations you pick to shoot in, whether it's here, like around this neighborhood, or out in Coney Island. I mean, you really take a tour of the lesser-known parts of New York, it feels like.
It's the greatest city in the world. I mean, to be able to shoot something, I mean, it's heaven. Oh, man, no.
Easy cheer, but yeah.
What a gift. Thank you, God. I mean, it's to be able to take a train to work. It's unbelievable.
And shoot on the train. We shoot on the train.
Yeah. It's the greatest.
It's just its own character in the
definitely,
show.
for sure.
It would not be. Could you imagine if the show took place in LA?
No, you can't imitate.
It would be so stupid. Yeah.
Be in the car all the time, having to get from hacking to hacking.
Can't say it any better than that.
Has the show turned you into a part of the city you haven't visited before? Or like,
Yeah.
And you're not
I've seen more security guards on this set than I've ever on any production before.
That's true.
So we see every side of New York. That's for sure.
At odd hours.
Odd hours.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
We went to the coolest was when we went to that museum in Queens.
Oh, that was.
What was that? They showed in episode 9 when they had the whole.
Let me Google this.
The smile.
Yeah, Wikipedia.
Whatever. It's cool.
That's great.
One of my standout episodes, I think, was the jailbreak scene, because that was a real turning point for Elliot, especially, and sort of brought home the weight of what he was doing. There was finally a real life victim in front of him. I mean, when you look back on that episode, was that one that stands out to you?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, that moment, there were a few key moments that Sam told me about from before we even shot the pilot that were just ingrained in my memory. Like, this is important. Don't mess this up. That was one of them, and the cemetery scene was another. And so I think every single night I worked on this show, I would go back to those two moments and think about it. And Sam had a particular style he wanted to shoot that, and he told me he wanted to do one take of that. So that's added pressure too, because it's a lot to convey in one take, and ultimately he's only going to use one take, so you really have to fill it. I don't think it might have been edited, but yeah, it was something we were both worried about. Sam was in LA, so he had his laptop open watching it. It's crazy. I'm getting directed via FaceTime. Right? But yeah, it was a very powerful moment where we were actually shooting at a prison, which is crazy. At some point you see you're at a prison, you see a bunch of prisoners running out, and it's hard, to just pretend in that moment. It's like this is going down, and then obviously, it's a pivotal moment. Care so much about that girl. Know that he tells me at one point she's gone. There's nothing you can do about it. You got to accept it and. There's something about knowing the whole time. This is what's special about Elliot, is he just has this hope throughout the episode that maybe, there's still a chance, there's a fighting chance. And to get to play that out in that moment and in a way that I think was honest and, I just wanted to make it different but very true. It was a great thing to get as an actor, and to tell the story in that way was special. But at one point I was like, Sam was giving me so much direction, I actually went to the laptop and just closed it. I think we got it.
It's incredible. I mean, just the amount of time too that was given to that particular one. That's the other thing that's so unusual. I think because Sam is so prepared and we have all this information, you don't ever feel like you're rushing or we got to slog through this day. I mean, each moment is truly treated in a very, very careful way.
I mean, I don't think especially on this network, has given us the freedom to do exactly what we want. USA's been incredible in just saying, do what you need to do, and obviously monitoring everything, but having so much faith and endorsing it. And for this season, I don't think it's really easy to tell someone, okay, you're going to direct everything, you're going to write most of it, you're going to get in the editing room in the weekend. And what was good for us out of all of that is, they were like, you want to do this? Just give us the episodes beforehand.
I think they said, give us 8. He wrote all of them.
But to know that you're supported in that way is it gives you that added boost going to work every day.
And now that the secrets are out of the bag, I mean, and Elliot knows who Mr. Robot is, he knows who Darlene is. Have you noticed a difference in acting these scenes now that everyone sort of in the show knows? And you have to play that as now I know, or maybe I don't know.
Freedom, right? I mean, that's the nice thing. It's like we don't have to walk around holding our cards as closely as we had to on season 1. So that's nice. That's definitely a nice feature.
Even Sam, back to in season 1 with the sister, he would be like, Rami, Carly, giving us direction, and be like, because you guys are brother and sister. And so it's like, even things like that we can say out loud.
Keeping it all on the DL.
But obviously, when you're shooting this first season and someone new comes on set and you're like, listen, this is going to be weird, but don't look at him.
Right.
And the actors are like, well, why?
I had a great time with that.
And it's hard. It's like,
I would do everything I could.
Try not looking at
jumping
Christian
jacks
Slater.
in the corner. And was there a particular scene that jumped out at you early on that you were really excited to play? Something for your characters that you
Was that with season 1 or
season 2? Just like something you read in the script and you're like, I can't wait for this day.
Yes, there are.
I have a scene that I, like this.
Okay, let me see.
There are some scenes that you get where you just cannot wait to go home and work on it for days and days and days and weeks, and that you just care so much more about. And, there's definitely a scene for me that has probably been one of the scenes I've been most excited about on the show. And what happens is...
We're approaching the end. I want to do a quick game here. Robot versus robot. I'm going to take your Mr. Robot character and pit them against a famous robot. And you're going to tell me who's going to win and a quick summation as to why. Quick lightning round here. What? So, Portia, let's start with you.
No, don't start with me. Rami first.
We're going to go with Rami first? Okay,
Yeah.
Rami, we're going to go with you first. Actually, no, let's go with Darlene first. I'm going to address you as your character now. Darlene, I'm going to pit you against another kid sister who can annoy her brother sometimes. That would be Darlene versus Vicky from Small Wonder.
down. Do you know Small Wonder?
She's,
No, oh my gosh,
Didn't she
wrong
have, like,
generation.
super strength or
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just gonna say Darlene wins.
I think you
Yeah,
will.
of course, Darlene.
I think
wins
sarcasm
everything.
will kill it.
Yeah.
Will kill it.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So, Christian,
God,
for
I
you-
love that show, Small Wonder.
That was a great show.
Great show.
I totally ruined it.
That-
We have to go watch that.
Yes,
tonight.
that's what you have to do now. This is your new assignment. YouTube Small Wonder. Christian, for you, Mr. Robot versus another robot who seems friendly on the surface at first, but then suddenly it reveals an ulterior motive, and that would be Ash from Alien.
Oh, wow. Yeah, wow. I'd kick his ass. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, great.
Of course.
Yes,
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah, me versus Ash, sure. I'd take him down.
You take him down. All right.
Yeah.
Portia, do you think you're ready?
Roll
or-
the magazine. That's what
Oh
I
yeah,
would do.
that's
Oh, God.
All right. For you, let's say Angela
Oh, she
versus another protocol-obsessed droid, C-3PO.
What?
C-3PO.
I don't know who.
Star Wars?
Yes.
Yeah, C-3PO.
Me? I don't know.
All right, and then finally, Rami. This might be cheating because it's not technically a corporeal robot, but I'm going to go with it anyway because I want to see it. Elliot versus Skynet.
Who's that?
Wow. That's
It'd
cool.
be a death match
Yeah.
to the end. And it would be a draw.
Wow.
The only,
It's very humble of you.
I realized at the end, the only way to win is not to play.
Truly.
Right?
Yeah.
I think you team up with them and cause Judgment Day, honestly, but that's
That's another great
that'd be
answer.
another one.
What was the robot from War Games? What was that called again, that robot? The War Games? What was it? The Whopper, right?
There we go.
Yeah, Whopper, right?
All right, we got to wrap it up. And thank you so much to the cast.
Thank
of Mr.
you.
Robot, Portia, Darlene, Christian, Rami.
This is worse than I thought. They're in the network.
What's the status update? You see, I thought we set up security protocols.
All I remember is I woke up 3 days later.
And what happened in those 3 days?